because my buddy Ted has decided to retire before me, and we were going to retire on the same day, but I've opted to stay for a couple more years, and Ted has opted to retire. And I'm a little jealous and a little sad. And tonight may be the hardest webinar I've ever put together, because I had to come up with questions for Ted. And I've known Ted for so long, and I'm not going to take away any of what he's going to say, because I want Ted to present everything of how we know it. But there is something I do need to do. I do need to say happy retirement, Ted. That was probably the worst retirement picture I could get, and I thought it was so funny that his goatee and his glasses both look like hearts. So I had to put it up, because I do love you, brother, and we're going to miss you. So, well, what's the next one? Oh, over the years. So I met Ted a long time ago, and when I met Ted, he looked like this, and it would be unfair for me. And keep in mind that I literally have taken at least 2 pencils out of that beard on the same job site.
Here's a pencil.
And
I looked for one. I couldn't find a picture with the pencil in the beard, but I used to keep pencils in the beard because they wouldn't stay behind my ear.
Exactly. And that's exactly what you told me when we met. But I have to be fair. I look like that when I met Ted.
Look at that, a young Steve. Look at that. Woo! Oh, wow.
So I'm just saying, it was the big glasses. Look, our glasses are nearly identical.
You look a little bit like New England's new coach.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, this is the kind of fun that we've had over the years. So for those of you guys who aren't sure how long Ted and I go back, this just gives you a little bit of insight as to how long we've been pushing each other around here. So, but there's a couple things.
Gray hair either. Wow.
What did you say?
Gray hair either on 2E's. Wow. Ted, you had no gray hair in your younger days.
But this goes back quite a ways, and I'll let Ted
Well,
talk
this
about it more.
This has got to be darn near 35 years ago.
Holy shit.
Yes, this was like 89, 90. This is, yes, absolutely, exactly when it was. Yeah. So it's it's quite a while ago, Ted. And
Yeah,
and I
sure is.
and I love the history that you and I have together, and we're going to keep making. I mean, this is not something that you and I are stopping, that's for sure. But I Keepa, his wife, was nice enough to send me a couple other pictures that I like to show you, and I want Ted to give me a little insight on these, because I need a little bit of context on these, right? So,
All right.
So Ted,
There I'm doing my best Jerry Garcia, I think. That was building my, I want to say that was building my barn.
wow. And who else is that in the picture with you?
So all the way on the left is my brother, Eric.
No shit.
Yeah. The guy with the overalls and the hat is Eric. Well, at the time he was not yet, but subsequently became Eric's father-in-law. Eric met his daughter, who was in college, when she came down for a visit, and they ended up hooking up. Ernie was my building partner, and the guy with the funny grin next to him, in between Eric and Ernie, was a guy named Fran, who at one time was Ernie's son-in-law, but that is no longer the case.
It's just a great picture. I mean, Eric looks like he's 15 in this picture, you know? I mean, it's just funny shit. It really is. And
you know, what's the funniest thing about Eric being here was that Eric was in commercial shipping. He was a tanker captain, actually. And in between ships, he would come out here and work with us, because, you know, if you, in the U.S. Shipping Union, I forget which one it was, master mates and pilots, I think, but he would, if he was on for 6 months, he'd be off for 6 months. So he had some time to kill, and he'd come out and he'd work with us, and that's how we ended up being here long enough to hook up with Ernie's daughter.
it just doesn't take more than a day, but he gave it 6 months. I love it.
Yeah. And he was here a few times in between ships before it finally all happened. But yeah,
it's amazing. That's
and
amazing.
then you see a couple ears in front here. These are that was Ernie's shepherd. who was generally on the job site with us.
That's awesome. That's just awesome. I love the picture. I mean, this is how I met Ted, was on a job site much like this. And and with a set of blueprints, and we're drawing on it, and I'm taking pencils out of his beard, and it was just kind of fun. So,
In
all right,
fact, when you first met me, it was downstairs in this building.
really?
Yeah. You
Wow.
met me in my shop, and
Yeah.
it was this building.
No shit. Well, that's awesome. I had no idea. It's been so long ago. I just remember being in a wooded building. I remember looking at the whistling boiler.
It was a heat maker.
Yeah, and
That's why I'm listening.
it whistled like a son of a gun. It really was amazing. But all right, so here's another picture. Two pictures actually. And it looks like you have a giant nail gun that's pneumatically driven, about to drive nails through that poor guy's hand.
Yeah, well, actually, it's we're nailing off. We're at a ridge pole. That's the ridge pole,
Right?
and we're nailing the rafters into it. So
Cool.
Carl, I believe that's a guy named Carl in that picture, and he is he's holding the rafter up in place, and I'm nailing it.
Yeah, and some poor guy's down on the ground looking up your shorts. I'm not sure about that, but you
It's
know,
the guy whose house we were building. You know,
all
there's always a homeowner looking over your shoulder.
no matter what you do.
You know what it's like as a contractor.
So and then are you going to a tree house to build it on the right hand side there?
That's a walkway across a pretty good sized, fast moving. I don't know if you'd call it a river, but it was a good sized stream. Um, and that was right outside of Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. We had gone down for my wife's one of her high school reunions.
Wow, and you trimmed your beard just for that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I tried to clean up my act so I didn't embarrass her. None of her friends had ever met me before.
All right, so now I got
I
one
cut
at a
about
time.
3 pounds of hair off.
By the way, Brian Queenan says, "Happy retirement, Ted. Congratulations and enjoy."
Thank you.
Just
Thank
throw
you.
that up there. So now here's like a GQ picture. And what's going on with this?
Well, this was probably about that same vintage as the picture on the footbridge.
Cool, cool. And then we had this one, which is your
Uh,
puppy.
yeah, that was with Coco. She was the second dog that we had, and that was uh, a Labrador, a Weimaraner Labrador.
Well, that's quite the mix.
Yeah.
And it's funny, Ted, you say that, but my first dog was a lab was a lab Weimaraner.
What's
That's,
love
that's what, that's
But
what
she,
Coco was.
yeah, my dog was black. They told me anytime that you have a lab mate with a Weimaraner, they always come out black. And now you just proved it wrong, that you had a brown one.
Well, it's funny. The neighbor, my next door neighbor, got a dog from the same litter, and theirs was black.
Yeah.
But there were 8 pups in the litter. 4 were brown and 4 were black.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
And Eric had a dog named Max. He was a full bred lab, my brother Eric. And um, Max was a wanderer. And this was one of his offspring. The neighbor left their dog out when it was in heat, and Max came around calling. But I have to say, he was a very, very dutiful father. He went every day and hung out with his pups.
Did he really?
He really did. It was amazing.
Oh my
And
God, I
he
love it.
would go and just lie over there, and they'd crawl all over him, and he'd roll them around, and then he'd go off probably and impregnate something else.
He's the local guy.
All right, so I just put a picture of you up on a boat, it looks like.
That was my boat. Well, my brother and I, we renovated a 1951 Chris Craft. That was an aft cabin cruiser, and that was me sitting in the doorway, the gangway to the main salon.
Wow, it's pretty cool. And
Yeah,
one
we
last one.
spent. This was that's funny. You know, these two pictures relate to each other. This picture was taken the day we went to pick up the boat. We bought the boat up in Weymouth, actually, uh, from from the estate of a guy who had died. Yeah, he bought it. He owned this boat, and then he got the idea that he was going to buy another boat, and he he made the mistake of being in the bilge with a couple of gas engines, pouring gas into the carburetor, and managed to blow himself up, killed himself. And so anyway, this other boat that he had thought to leave behind, he did in fact leave behind, and I ended up with it. And it was called the Big Dog. Canis Major actually was the actual name, but of course that's Latin for big dog. And the dinghy that we used to tow from the back was Acarina obesus. That's a fat tick.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, I love
Anyway,
it.
this was the day. This was the day we had gone up to pick up the boat to bring it down.
Wow, that's amazing that I put both of them together without even knowing that,
That is amazing.
which
What a
is kind of fun.
coincidence.
That's neat. So real quick, Steve Bingle and Ron Bug say congratulations.
Thanks for watching the video today. If you'd like to check out more videos, see the link below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for all the future updates. And also check us out on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram.